Keep going. We'll talk about evaluate, keep, or replace decisions. So you'll see at the end of the day, these are all, if you understand the underlying concept, there's really not a lot of difference between these, and you should be able to do really well on the homework and tests. Because keep or replace equipment, always what we're looking at, what's our sunk costs, what's our avoidable costs, what's our relevant costs. Okay, how do we make an appropriate decision here? So we're saying we have part 417, which was assigned to overhead of 100% of direct labor costs with the following unit costs. And so we can buy a new machine for 100,000. If we trade in our old machine, we can think about this from a car, right? 25,000. Variable manufacturing costs, 72,000. So the idea here is we're saying that if we get a new machine, it's going to cost us 100,000. We'll get $25,000 back. We can make this negative to make it more illustrative. And then our maintenance cost is actually going to be reduced by 72,000. So the question is here, should we buy the new machine? So total increase in net income. We take the sum. So the question here, and the answer is already there, so I'm not gonna quiz you on it. But should we buy the new machine, the fancy new machine? No, we shouldn't, because the cost of, even though we're gonna get some savings on the manufacturing costs, it still makes more cost sense to keep the old machine. And so this is a good, what is a perfect example for how you could use this in your real life, not just work? It's buying a car, right? Should you buy a new $30,000 car and take a payment for it? Or should you buy a $5,000 clunker that needs some maintenance costs? And you'll actually find a lot of the time, the right financial decision to make is to buy a used car or an older car. If you do kind of calculation like this, it'll be a little more complex. You'll calculate your interest and all of that. And I'm happy to do that with you from a personal finance perspective. Walk through an example if everyone's interested. But most of the time, it makes sense to buy the older car that needs more manufacturing and costs more for gas, even though a new car might need less maintenance, just because the older car costs so much less initially. It's really hard to make up in a reduction in variable manufacturing costs. Same thing with electric cars nowadays, right? Like electric cars are great and great for the environment, and I think I think Teslas are really cool, and hopefully one day we'll have one. But from a financial perspective, it's still cheaper to buy a gas car.